Hey guys, it's Whitney from the Holiday Homestead. I am making a video about green beans. Um, I really enjoy growing green beans, and I realized that out of all the stuff I've shown on my channel here, I have never really talked much about the one thing I really like growing. So anyway, I mean, I like growing tomatoes and stuff and all the other stuff too. It's really fun, but beans are just, it's hard not to grow a bean without, you know, smiling or something, because they're just so happy and they're so easy and they just give you so much. So anyway, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I'll show you. So this is my summer garden. Now I say summer garden. I have a garden going all year, but I have 3 different gardens and a greenhouse. And so I had to name them. And so this garden is the one that grows most of the summer crops. And so this is why I call it my summer garden. Anyway, so it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 rows. 11 rows, and 4 of them are just beans because I like this so much. So I grow 2 types. These are the pole beans here. And I do use the 3 sisters method for most of my pole beans, unless I'm doing something with fencing around it. Then I'll use the fence. But if I'm just growing pole beans in a spot like this, I will use my corn to grow my vines up. And then also if I have a really thick density of beans like I have this here, right here, I will also use some baling twine. And this is just tied to my fence. And it's just this little diagonal thing. It's connected down at the bottom here. And it just comes down and then up, and it ties into the next one. And that goes down and up, and it ties into the next one, down and up and down and up, on and on, all the way down. So that helps me to kind of help my corn stalks so they don't get too overloaded, because I planted really close together this year to get as much out of my pole beans as I could for this space. So anyway, and yeah, it works really well. My corn has gotten pollinated, or my tassels got exposed, so that's all happening. And my beans are happy because they get to grow up and be a part of this amazing cycle. So anyway, so that's the pole beans. Then I have over here, this whole row is all bush beans. I do Blue Lake. They are heirloom to me. I guess they're my heirloom seeds, but the original seeds from these came from Lake Valley. It's a company. I don't think they are organic. Gosh, it was so many years ago. I've been growing these these type of beans for years and years. So I think the original seed packet was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's hard for me to remember. But certainly what I grow now is I guess organic, in the sense I don't use any pesticides or anything, but that goes for all of my gardens. Anyway, so these are a fantastic bush variety, and they are by far my most prolific beans, but they are not as long producing as the pole beans. The pole beans in our zone, which is 9B, the pole beans will go in, keep producing all the way through November. Whereas the bush beans tend to taper off right around, oh gosh, early October, late September, somewhere in there. But when they are here and growing, man, they just produce like crazy. So they're really a joy to grow. And as you can see, again, I really tend to overplant these rows so that they are dense. But I also pack a ton of manure, mulch, soil, compost in layers with a ton of mulch on the top. So I kind of overcrowd my beans in one sense, but I also make sure that I have an abundance of moisture and nutrients to feed these guys so they don't starve each other out, basically. And so let's see here. So there's this row, this row, and that row. Plus in the winter garden, you can't really see it, but up the hill there, there's a fence that divides the summer garden from the winter garden. That's where I usually grow my broccoli and stuff. And I have another, let's see, 35 by 3 foot in-ground row that goes basically the length of this fence line, that is nothing but bush beans with a little clump of pole beans at the very end. So anyway, but what I wanted to show you guys today is these guys. So like I said, these are Blue Lakes, and they produce kind of a wide variety of shapes. You know, some are going to be a little bit curly like that. I've got some that are more, hi Timmy, oh goodness. I've got some that are obviously bigger. There's some that are a little bit more straight that I can show you, like that guy there, a little more straight. So it just depends, I guess, on the plant, in the individual plant. But oh yeah, like this one. So it provides quite a bit of variety, and so. I mean, these guys are just wonderful. So what I also wanted to show you was kind of when to harvest the beans. So I'll get the right lighting here because the sun is kind of ruining my picture. Okay, here we go. So when to pick a bean is, I think, just as important as when to grow it and where to grow it and all that stuff. Because what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to see your beans start and not pick them and have them basically just over ripen and then go to seed. So let's see if I can find one that's, oh, that one's still good. Well, I don't have very many here that have gone really bad yet because I just had some friends over for dinner. Oh, there's someone maybe. And we picked quite a few. But I will show you. So something like this, it still looks pretty good, but the seed is really developing inside. What you want when you are harvesting your green beans is something a little bit skinnier and smooth. And this could just be for Blue Lakes in general, but I also have seen it in my pole beans as well, that when they start developing kind of bumps where the seeds are starting to expand and form, that's when you either pick them or you're going to lose them. And when I say lose them, I mean they're going to, how do I say, the bean inside, which is the seed, starts to kind of draw the nutrients from, and the moistures from the outer skin, the layer, the pod of the bean. So you end up with a large bean that's like fully developed and ready to be a seed, honestly. But you also have the pod that becomes almost like a leather bag, basically. So imagine like a brick inside a leather purse, and you can feel it. You can feel the leather. It kind of just like spongy and kind of you can feel the layers kind of pressing together and coming apart when you pinch it. And also you can feel the seed, the bean, well formed and kind of firm in there. So when you see your beans starting to develop more, if I can get the picture, yeah, see like more lumps, see like right along the bean there, you can kind of see where the seed is starting to develop. And that's great if you're looking for seed production, but if you're looking to eat it, it's really not that great. And let me see if I can show you guys kind of what I mean. I can set up my tripod here. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. So here we have our bean that is a little bit kind of lumpy right there, there. So when I split it open, you can see there's your bean inside there. And that's not to say that this is not edible. It certainly is. It's going to be a little bit chewier. It's going to be a little bit stringy. The Blue Lake variety doesn't have a very strong string. My pole beans have a much stronger string to them. But the Blue Lake variety is really fairly stringless, I guess. But I will say that younger beans, no matter what variety, are going to have a little bit less string than their older variety. So, okay, so that's this one. And you'll know that's happening when you see these bump, 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 see all of that. Now, if you look at the younger one, it's nice, lovely, skinny. Look at it from the side. It's pretty smooth. There's a little bit of a lump right there, but it's not bad. So that, if we open it, all right, so this has much smaller seeds inside of it, much smaller. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. See, smaller, they're less developed, and there's a lot more flesh in the pod part. And so that's what gives the green bean a really good flavor, is to have flesh, very small developed seeds, which honestly is kind of silly because it's kind of like the infant stage of the green bean, because, you know, seed production is ultimately what these plants are trying to do, and we just kind of jump in, we just kind of jump in the early stages and grab them when they're young and tender. So anyway, so yeah, so when you want, and like I said, this is totally edible. You know, it's not going to kill you or anything to eat a green bean with some extra little beans in it. I have noticed though that green beans, the more the bean gets developed, the more, how do I say this lightly, the more gastrointestinally disruptive, if you get my meaning, the green beans are. So the bigger the bean, the bigger the tummy reaction. And I tell you, my kids can clear the room if they eat some beans that are a little overdeveloped. Anyway, so there's that. So, but all in all, you know, a bean that has, you know, a couple of kind of lumps like that, still totally edible. You know, obviously just take your chances. But the less developed yet large, the better. And so that's kind of a hard balance to strike, because you don't want to get them when they're super tiny and skinny and these tiny little, you know, wisps of a bean. But you also don't want to get them when they're too big. So basically, when you're looking, you just want to find something that is kind of in the middle. And I've found time and time again, the best way to figure that out is just to grow them and a little trial and error. So like this size, I would consider to be a little bit too small, but this probably tastes way better and is sweeter and smoother, and definitely doesn't have any developed seeds in it. It probably tastes a little better than this guy. But I would probably pick this one simply because it's bigger, and, you know, the difference in flavor is going to be minimal, in my opinion. And so I would wait for it to get a little bit more mass to it, like that size, before I picked it. That being said, you know, if that's small and that's large, you know, this could be medium. And that could be a really good, comfortable size to pick. And honestly, this probably would be pretty tasty. And again, let's see, like this one here, it's nice and smooth and straight. Not a lot of lumps, not a lot of bumps. Okay, so it probably does not have a lot of seed development enough to make it taste funky or have that adverse effect. So there's that one. That would be good. This one here, you can see has a nice big lump right there. So I probably waited a little bit too long. But even still, it's still firm all the way through. I don't feel that leather bag, you know, it doesn't feel like an empty paper sack with a, you know, with a brick inside of it. It feels still firm, kind of uniformly firm all the way across. So, so yeah, I mean, all of these I'm going to pick today because these all need to go in the canner. So that's another video. At some point, I'll do one about canning my green beans. But basically, I use the exact directions for my canner. I have a pressure canner. It's by Presto. It's let's see here. I got the 7-quart or 8-quart. It's a 7 or 8-quart size, and it suits my needs perfectly. But I mean, I can do a video on it, but honestly, I would be reading verbatim from the instructions because most canners have not only instructions on how to operate the canner, but they have specific canning directions for each type of thing you're trying to can. So mine has, my book of directions has a section on meats, has a section on fruits, vegetables, and then it goes, you know, beans, including green beans of any kind, lima beans, you know, on down. So if you read your manual for your pressure canner, it should have all of those in-depth details and directions. Also, you can always go online, but look for the manufacturer's directions for your canner to can that specific fruit or vegetable or meat. I do not go looking for other recipes with their directions. I will find other recipes, and I have used those before off of, you know, internet or some of the cookbooks I have, but I do not use someone else's directions for the process of actually processing the jar. So, you know, that's that, and that's generally just good practice, I guess. Anyway, so so yeah, guys, that's really about it. Like I said, green beans are my favorite thing to grow. They're just so wonderful, and they just produce so abundantly that it's just hard not to like them. And there are many types of beans. Right now, I'm growing the pole beans, my Blue Lake bush beans, Chinese long bean, Thai long bean, and cowpeas. In addition to some, not a lot, but some soybeans. And I'm not doing pinto beans this year. I've done pinto the last 2 years, and they're great. They're fun to grow, and you know they're quick. But I need a much larger scale to grow them in to really see an abundance of production out of them. So I decided not to do those this year. I'm still doing the soybeans. I've got Midori Giants and I think Takuris or something like that. So anyway, so I highly recommend try out different types of beans. They're really fun to grow and really easy to can, and they're a good addition to your standard homestead garden. Anyway, so I hope all this was useful in some way to you guys, and yeah, definitely grow some beans. They're a good time. Anyway, happy gardening. Bye.